Okay, welcome everybody to our week 3 live session. If it feels like I kind of zoom through the slides today, it's because I am zooming through the slides today. And the reason for that is I really want to spend a great deal of time doing the demo for the assignment. This week, you have an assignment and an assessment this week, which are both designs that you need to do. So again, I'm going to hop right into it. Just a reminder on my phone hours, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time to 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and you can email me anytime. Just note that I am located in Massachusetts, so Eastern Standard Time Zone. You'll have to do the time zone conversion trying to get in touch with me. I only have one announcement to go over so far this week. We're going to kind of look at elements of design. I don't think we're going to have time for a critique, again, because I really want to get into our assignment and our assessment this week, but we will go over the discussion question, and I will show you how to set up the assessment, and then you will need to take it from there this week, because I really want to focus on the nitty-gritty of the assignment this week. All right, due dates. Assignments and assessments are due by Saturday at midnight for full credit. Make sure you are communicating with me if your work is going to be late. This will save you missed points. Again, week 4's assignment cannot be turned in late. If something happens when you are uploading it, make sure that you email me immediately. Also, your original discussion post is due by Wednesday at midnight, and you need to respond to 2 of your fellow students by Saturday, and make sure you're posting on 2 different days. And we will be having our multi-session tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. If you need some help or some one-on-one tutoring, or if you have any questions, you can pop on in and see me. And if you do need any outside help, the Student Success Center is open with tutoring available and no appointment necessary, which is a good segue to my first announcement. DJ has Learning Coach hours tonight from 4 to 9 p.m., Wednesday from 7 to 11 p.m., Friday from 6 to 11 p.m., and Saturday from 4 to 10 p.m. All hours are Mountain Time. And while we're over here, let's take a look at the week 3 discussion. We're going to be talking about consistency. It's labeled consistency counts. So last week we discussed the importance of consistency in typography. This was supported by the CRAP principles: contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. And the principle of repetition and alignment while creating a cohesive look in your overall design. This week we are taking that one step further. In addition to typography, there are several other elements that should remain consistent within a design to create unity. 5 of the basic elements of design are shape, line, texture, color, and value. These elements, along with typography and imagery, are the building blocks of graphic design. A shape is used to define an area of interest. Shapes can be drawn with a border around them, defined by an area of color, or just implied because of the other elements on the page. Shapes vary greatly and can be used to represent a physical form. They are often used to direct attention from item to item on the page. Line is the most fundamental of all the elements. It is the way that we begin most designs. When pen meets paper, lines can be horizontal, vertical, or diagonal. They can be curved, they can be straight, they can be zigzagged. A line can also be implied by aligning shapes in a row. Texture adds dimensions to artwork by bringing a representation of something tactile into play. Everything has a texture. We might describe the texture as smooth or rough, shiny or matte, fuzzy or silky. Designers utilize different textures to create interest in a composition. Utilizing 2 very different textures is a great way to bring contrast into a piece. So I had demonstrated in week 1 when I added that textured background to the front page of my menu design. That's a way of utilizing texture. Color is also an element that designers use to create focus and generate moods. Color is produced when light reflects off an object or a surface. In graphic design, color is used to support an and intended message. For example, bright colors suggest happy or positive feelings, while drab, dark colors lean towards something serious in nature. Value works hand in hand with color. Value is the overall darkness or lightness of an element. Value is used to create contrast within a composition. Without changes in value, individual pieces of a composition could not be seen. As you can see, all of the elements of design work together. Most of the time, implementation of one element isn't possible with at least addressing one of the other elements as well. So here is your prompt for the discussion. For this week's discussion, you're going to visit the following website, the JCO Blogspot, or the Inspiration feed, which has 35 restaurant menu designs. The first one has 45 inspiring menu designs. And you want to look through the menu art that's displayed on those two websites. Choose an example that illustrates either powerful or poor use of the elements of design, and embed the image, just like we did last week, into your post using the instructions from the video below. You can discuss the evaluation of the menu. If there should have been more design elements, which ones would you have added? Where would you have added them? How would you have added them? If you feel the elements were used appropriately, describe which elements were used and how they added to the unity of the overall appearance of the menu. So let me know why it works. For your citation, you might find and use articles that explain elements or good examples of good layout practices. You can also find articles from experts that describe the elements that you have found and their overall purpose. For your reply post, make sure that you revisit those CRAP principles: contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. Address how the elements utilized within the examples create or diminish the CRAP principles. If the CRAP principles are weak, what elements might make them stronger? Your initial and your reply post should work to develop a group understanding of this topic. Make sure you challenge each other, build on each other, be respectful, but discuss this and try to figure it out together. So that is our discussion this week. All right, I'm going to actually bring you into the assessment before we get into the assignment, because like I said, I really want to put a lot of focus on the assignment this week. So let's take a look at the week 3 assessment, the postcard. So for the background of this, part of our job as a graphic artist is to create multiple projects for a single client. This happens all the time. It's vitally important that each of the projects for a specific product or client contains several elements that are alike. So if we took their menu and put it down on the table, and then we took their postcard that we're going to be designing this week, and we put that down on the table, we should be able to tell that both of those products go to the same company. There should be an overall cohesive feel between those two products. Even though one of them is a menu and one of them is a postcard, they should look like they belong together. Because we're creating, as designers, the face of a company for the world to see. So that identity needs to be presented consistently, or the end user will be confused. A person should not look at your menu and then look at the postcard and wonder if the postcard is for the same place that the menu is for. There shouldn't be a confusion between the viewer. So suppose, for example, somebody has the business card from a store and they are searching for the store itself, like physically in a shopping plaza looking for that store. If the logo on the card didn't match the logo on the building, it might be tough for them to find the store. However, if the colors, the logo, and even the typography match from the business card to the building and the signage, we have created, as designers, several visual vehicles through which our audience can find us. Typography and color palette are two of the key elements that give separate components within a campaign a cohesive feel. So you want to make sure your typefaces match. You want to make sure your color palette matches. InDesign makes creating multiple campaign elements much faster by allowing us to import style sheets and color palettes from one project to another. Not only does this save us an enormous amount of time, but it ensures the continuity we are seeking. Creating a color swatch palette and a color group within InDesign allows us to utilize the same exact colors from page to page and file to file with the click of a button. This ensures the consistency required for a unified campaign. This assessment will evaluate your ability to reuse existing style sheets and color palettes that have been previously created by either yourself or another designer to maintain consistency for the client's overall brand. Yet another reason why those style sheets are so important in graphic design, and especially in InDesign. So, like I said, what I'm going to do is I am going to set up for you the file so you can see how to set it up. But because there is a pretty basic design, there's not a lot of design cues to go along with this. I'm going to leave you, after the types of demos that I've done in the last 2 weeks, to figure out this assessment on your own using the information that I have demoed the last 2 weeks. But I will give you a walkthrough of how to put the file together. All right, so let's go into InDesign, and we're going to make a new InDesign document. So go to New Document, and I need it to be 4.25 inches in height and 6 inches wide. So my width is 6 inches, and my height is 4.25. Whoops, and that just got weird. 6 inches. 4.25. All right, let's try this one more time. I need to have 1/8 of an inch, so 0.125 bleed. So I'm going to go down to my bleed area, and that's already set up as 0.125. I need to have a 0.25 margin, so I'm going to set that up. Tab over, and it adds it to all 4 sides. I want it to be 2 pages, and I want to make sure that I uncheck spreads. So 2 pages. Spreads is facing pages, so you want to make sure it is not checked. So this box right here, not checked. And then hit create, make sure everything looks right. All right. So you can see I have my red bleed line, I have my document, and then my margin is 0.25. You want to double check that. You can double check that in layout by going to margins and columns and just make sure that that looks right. Then this is how you import the paragraph and character styles that you used in your menu. Because again, this is for the same exact client that you use for your menu. So you want to make sure that you're using the same fonts, that you're using the same color scheme, etc., etc. So you're going to go in and open up under Window your paragraph styles by going to Styles if they're not open. And, oh, I have them open over here. Next, what you're going to do is go to the Style Panel options. Those are the lines in the upper right-hand corner, right here, those 4 lines. You want to click on that, and you want to do Load Paragraph Styles. And then what you're going to do is you're going to navigate over to your menu file. So I want to make sure I'm in Mod 4, 105, Week 2, and find, whoops, my menu. There we go. And you may have to click check all to make sure it loads everything, both the paragraph styles and your character styles, because I loaded this through the paragraph styles tab. So the only thing it automatically checked were my tabs and my basic paragraph style, but I want to make sure that I import those character styles as well. So I hit check all, and just hit OK, and you'll notice that everything is in here now. And then when you import those style sheets, a lot of times it's also going to be important to import the necessary colors as well. And if they didn't come over, you want to follow the instructions the same way, but in the swatches panel. So you'll open up your swatches. You can kind of drag that out if you need to. And again, you're going to click on the 4 lines up in the right-hand corner, and you want to click Load Swatches and navigate to that file again. Click Open, and it will add in those swatches. So if you remember, I made this kind of burgundy color. That is my color swatch that it loaded in. All the rest of them are just the default colors. All right. So on page 1, you're going to place one of the menu item photos from your project on page 1, filling the space from edge to edge and extending the frame to all bleeds. Or you can, again, utilize the photo below. So you can download a sample document and you can download this zip file if you do not have the information that you need for this. So there's a sample document right here that has sample style sheets if you did not make style sheets in week 2. If that was one of the things that you didn't get points for, you can download some sample style sheets, load them the same way. And then you can also download the zip file, which includes the text for page 2 of the postcard, if you do not have the things that you need from last week. So again, you're going to fill, page 1 from edge to edge using a photo. So I will just quickly do an example. I am going to do a file place. I'm going to go back over into week 2, into my links from my package folder, and maybe probably would want to use this one because that's what I used on the front page. And again, starting at my bleed line, I want to make sure I go from one edge of my bleed to the other and place that image. Center it a little bit. So that's my image, placed from the bleed to the bleed. And then what I would want to do is, using my character or paragraph styles, I want to add a headline that says buy one, get one, half off on top of this photo. And I might need to change the colors of the text so it's suitable for this design. So I'm going to just copy and paste this text. I'll do page 1 with you. So I copied it in, going to go over to my paragraph style. I'm going to see probably my casual. Buy one, get one, half off. And maybe make half off really big. And I'm going to open up my character panel for a second. I'm going to show you a little trick. So my text size right now is 108. 108 divided by 2 is 54. And I'm going to change my 2 to 54. I have to bring this down a little bit. Bump that down just a little bit. Move this over a little bit. And I can make a little half sign. There are some quick keys for doing this. If you want to set it up that way, you can look those up, but just a quick little coupon trick that I learned back in the day. All right, so this red isn't really going to work. So I have a couple of different options I can do. I can change the color to maybe white, which kind of does work. Select that box, maybe try putting a little bit of a drop shadow around it. Just a subtle one. It's not as subtle as I would want it to be. Move it a little bit closer. Bring it down to 60%. I don't want the distance so far. So that makes it stand out a little bit. Now I've got the buy one, get one half off. So that's gonna draw my viewer in. I'll probably bring this down right to my margin at the bottom. Right over to my margin on the right. And see if I can get, I have enough of this image. I can get these wine glasses a little bit over. Bring them up just a smidge. There we go. So I have a choice. I can either put my logo on page one, or I can put my logo on page two. But I definitely want to make sure I put that logo in because I need people to know exactly where it is that they are going. And then on page two, what you're going to do is insert the copy that is provided to you below, which is the sample document and, oh, I'm sorry, the zip file, which includes your text. So you're going to download that. Just move my old one out of the way. And you'll notice I have a week 3 folder for assessment. So I'm going to put those assets in there. And here is your text. So photo side 1, buy one, get one half off. And then on your mailing side, it says logo, but you can put it on either side. You're going to put the address. That is the address of your specific restaurant, which you will need to get from your menu. Buy one, get one half off. Eat up our early bird specials, weekdays between 4:30 and 5:30 p.m. Buy one appetizer or main dish and get one half off. Offer expires 01 of 2020. So here are I'm going to give you some hints. Think of hierarchy in your information. Think of any coupon that you have ever seen. And you might want to go in and just start to maybe bold some things and make the text larger of items that are important. And maybe what is the small text and how small should that be? This is a hint for you. That will be added to side 2. Now, normally you would set up a postcard to have a mailing area on one side for the address and everything else. You do not need to worry about that for this assignment because this postcard will not be mailed. And there will be circumstances where you may design a postcard that isn't going to go into the mail. It's a postcard that the restaurant might be handing out to their customers when they leave, so they have no intention of mailing it. So you don't have to worry about, leaving an area on the back side of it. You can use all of the available space on both sides. So again, on side 2, you're going to need to utilize your character styles from your menu to make things match. So I've kind of shown you a way to set up side 1. Setting up side 2 is up to you. When this is done, you're going to save this file. Again, make sure that you have your week 3 folder, a folder for your assessment, and that you are naming it correctly. Here it is. Save that. Then you're going to do a file, package. That got really big. Again, make sure that you put it in the appropriate folder. So navigate back over to week 3. Make sure you include a PDF with your marks and bleeds set and package that. We went over that the last 2 weeks, so you should know how to do that by now. And then you will go in and compress that file and upload that as your assessment. Double check that PDF, make sure everything looks right, that nothing's dropped off. You know, if I looked, I'd say, oh no, my side 2 is missing, before you upload it. And make sure that you upload that zipped packaged folder. So go over the rubric before you upload. Is it on time? Is it the proper file format, a zip package folder? Is it named correctly? Are the page sizes correct? Do you have the margins correct? Are the bleeds set up correctly? Did you uncheck facing pages? Are your images sized proportionally, and are the image frames appropriately used? Again, go back in, check those images. Open that up. I can show you that again real quick. To double check that everything is sized proportionally, use that white arrow, click on your image, and these 2 numbers should match. If they don't, go to Object, Fitting, and you want to fit content proportionally. And that will fix that for you. Your typography should utilize either the style sheet from your menu or the style sheet that you downloaded, the sample document. I need to see style sheets in your file. You are allowed to override the color and the sizes, so that way things fit the parameters of this project. Are your frames properly positioned on the layout? Are your text and image frames properly used? If everything looks good, 50 points, my friend. And I will take off points for design if I don't feel that it was designed appropriately. So, you know, make sure that you are, you know, putting thought into your design. Are you following those CRAP principles? Things like that. So even though there's not a specific area, I'll just kind of tick off some points in different areas, and I will note to you what the problems were. So again, if you want to resubmit, you would be able to. But hopefully everybody gets it and we won't have to worry about that. All right. So whirlwind, but again, there's a lot to go over in this newsletter, which is our week 3 assignment. So I really, really, really wanted to put a lot of focus on this today. Let me hop over one more second into our slides. So I did give you some slides that you can look at on your own that have the line, you know, shape with some examples of texture, talking a little bit about color and value. And then we did go over the assignment and the assessment. Also, I have added to here, you need to use a baseline grid in this assignment, and that can be a little bit tricky. So there is a link to Adobe Help on using grids and how to set up that baseline grid. Again, one of the trickiest things is setting up the baseline grid and getting it to show on your page. You would have thought that Adobe would make this, you know, a little bit easier. Alas, I am convinced that lately Adobe is just trying to drive us all nuts. But I do have a link here, so the slides will be helpful to you this week. I just wanted to kind of point this out, you know, that I have a little link to help you out as well. All right, so before I dive into the assignment, does anybody have any questions about what I just went over? Anything that might need to be clarified? Because I know I did that kind of fast. And if no, we will proceed. All right, awesome. So again, for week 3, what you are going to be doing is kind of like in week 1 and week 2, you're going to be designing a newsletter where part 1 is done in week 3 and part 2 is done in week 4. So it's going to be another one of those 2-week projects. And the good thing about this newsletter is what we're really doing with this newsletter is we're following the example that was given. So there's no need to reinvent the wheel on this newsletter. There's not even really a need to utilize elements of design. It's already been done for you. You're going to follow the example you were given and just redo it in InDesign. And you may think to yourself, well, is this a real life application? Is this something that I would actually do? It actually is. I can tell you from experience that I have been given JPEG files, PDF files, Illustrator files, knowing full well that eventually, even if it runs this time exactly how it looks, next time there's going to be changes and it really needs to be redesigned in Illustrator going forward. So this is something that I have had to do multiple times in the past. So I have a couple of tips and tricks that I can share with you, which I think make this a lot easier to do. It's things that I have learned along the way that have, you know, kind of made my life a little bit easier. So I am more than happy to share my experience doing this with you. So let's go over the background, and I think what'll probably be easiest is for everyone to just follow along with the demo of the assignment that I'm going to do. So I am going to stop our first video now for those of you who are here tonight and for those of you who are watching at home. So that way you can go right into the second video and follow along. I will go over the background in that video as well, but I think it just might make it a little bit easier for you guys this week to kind of go along with my demo. So let me stop this recording and we'll start up another one. So everybody who's watching at home, please, we'll see you in the next recording.